because last night was, I guess, ugly as expected. It was just bad. There's a level to it now where, and we'll play for you sound of what his head coach said. But there's a level to it now. It's like you just can't keep throwing him out there. You can't keep throwing him out there. I don't know who Chris Streveler was. Like, if Chris Streveler would have come and said, I play in the NFL, I would have said, okay, like, are you a kicker? Are you a long snapper? I don't know.
I knew who Chris Streveler was, but I also called for Joe Flacco at halftime. So I didn't even get the right quarterback that they would actually put in to replace Zach Wilson.
By the way, Chris Streveler, he'd handle the conditions, I think, pretty well. South Dakota, I don't know if they play indoors up there, but you would think that he's seen some stuff in his day. Chris Streveler came in and replaced him. I mean, this is one of those. We are divided as a country, right? We just are. We're divided as a country. We can't agree on anything. I think we can all agree we've seen enough Zach Wilson. Is anybody?
I second that.
Okay.
Yes.
Jason Stewart, can I get a third? Can I get an amen, John Ramos?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And all those opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Motion is granted. Resolution resolved.
You can't do aye and then nay, John. You have to do aye or say be silent. Teach them how this stuff
I'll
rules.
be silent then.
Okay. Zach Wilson said this after the game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it from a team perspective, right? We're not doing anything offensively. And, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to help get the guys going. I'm trying to, get myself in a little bit of rhythm. And we had nothing there.
Here's Zach on the booze.
Is it tough hearing the booze?
Yeah, it is, but don't blame them. We have a very passionate fan base, and they're here to watch us score touchdowns, and we're not scoring touchdowns. We're not getting first downs. We're not moving the ball. We obviously can't throw the ball, so of course they're going to be frustrated.
Here's Robert Saleh on his quarterback's decision making.
You said you feel like Zach is getting better, but this is a kid who was drafted second overall. Your starter last year, he's now into year 2. You've had to bench him or make a change at quarterback 2 times this year. It seems like the other quarterbacks that you have thrown out there, going back to last year with Josh when he was here, and Joe, and now Mike this year, and Streveler, your offense seems to function better with other quarterbacks as opposed to Zach. Why is that?
Those are things we got to look at. To stand up here and give you that answer, I don't have that answer. There's a lot of stuff that we got to talk about.
Okay, first thing is, it was a very good question. Like, that was a very good, fair, and balanced question. There was one part to it. Did you pick up on the one thing that was interesting about the question?
That Saleh kind of sounds like Victor Newman from Young and the Restless.
I don't know who Victor Newman is. That's a reference that's over my head. But
no, I didn't. What did I miss?
Can I hear that question one more time?
You said you feel like Zach is getting better, but this is a kid who was drafted second overall. Your starter last year, he's now into year 2. You've had to bench him or make a change at quarterback 2 times this year. It seems like the other quarterbacks that you have thrown out there, going back to last year with Josh when he was here, and Joe, and now Mike this year, and Streveler, your offense seems to function better with other quarterbacks as opposed to Zach. Why is that?
Those are things we got to look at. To stand up here and give you that answer, I don't have that answer. There's a lot of stuff that we got to talk about.
You couldn't give me one thing. Jay Stu, did you pick up what I heard?
I'm trying to figure it out. I was
play it again, John. No, I'm kidding.
No, play again. He mentions all the quarterbacks by first name except Streveler because nobody knows who the hell the guy is. He's like, Joe, John, Jim. They all came in. They're all better. And then some Streveler fella. Who the hell is that guy? He came in and he was better too. That was the part of it. That was the part of the question that was the money question. It was like, look, you've had like 5 other guys. They're all better than this guy. Like, why do you keep throwing this guy out there? I grew up in a town, city of Orange, California, right? Jason Stewart grew up in Brea, California. Brea is 15 minutes north. John Ramos grew up in... Did you grow up in South Pass or San Ramon? Did you grow up in South Pass?
Actually, San Ramon was my second home. Okay. South Pasadena was where I actually grew up, yes.
Okay, you grew up in South Pasadena. It's an incredible area. You think of Pasadena, the Rose Bowl, South Pasadena, San Ramon, like amazing area, okay? And Dan Byard, I'm cutting you out of this because you didn't grow up in California. You grew up in Wisconsin, where everybody is sending out TikToks of freezing T-shirts apparently right now.
Not yet, but soon, yes.
Okay, but
Montana's
soon.
got it right now.
I grew up in Orange because the city of Orange is famous basically, I think, for two things. Okay? One is the street fair in the Orange Circle. The Orange Circle is it's like old Americana. Even now it existed. It's like a throwback to the 1950s. It's right next to Chapman University. Really cute. They got a lot of restaurants in there, antique shopping. But they have the street fair, and it's all different sorts of ethnicities and food, right? So is that fair? When I say, do you know the second thing, Jason Stewart, that the city of Orange is known for? Jason Stewart?
City of Orange is known for it has one of those streets where you have to a circular street. What is that called?
That was the Orange Circle. Is he not paying attention to the rest of the show? What is he doing? That's the Orange Circle, right? That's the Orange Circle. And it's known for Toyota of Orange because they had this little jingle. No, you see, you're snorting.
Yes,
I swear.
Totally.
Everybody
the license plate frame. Yes.
Everybody who lives in Southern California, right? There used to be this Cal Worthington, and he had a tiger on his the two car places that people knew were Cal Worthington. I still don't know. I think he was in Bellflower, and the Toyota of Orange. You won't get a lemon. I would have got a lemon at Toyota of Orange, right? And when I'm a kid, I was like, what is a lemon? You just go along with it. And a lemon is a stinker. Everybody, I don't know if you ever had a car where just nothing goes right. Blinker goes on. I don't know why. All of a sudden the car just stops, like the battery or whatever, right? You get lemons. The Jets have a lemon. There's a lot of things that went into it. It was the COVID year, right? We can blame it on COVID. Isn't that a great one you can always blame things on? What the heck happened there? COVID. Oh, okay, yeah, it was COVID year. Right? The COVID year was a weird year. And that was Zach Wilson's year to shine, right? At BYU. And then you look at who they played, oh, yeah, they didn't really play. Their big game that year was Coastal Carolina. That was their big game. No, they didn't come in and hey, let's bring in Texas and Alabama. No, let's bring in Coastal Carolina. That's our big game. So some of it is the COVID year, okay? Some of it is there's a dude who he's one of those guys that it looked much better on tape, especially on air. But you couldn't really tell in the COVID year, who are they playing against? There was a bunch, who are you actually playing against? Not just in terms of the level of teams that you're playing, but each one of these levels of teams, they didn't have all their guys. Even college football that year, remember, Micah Parsons didn't play. Lots of guys. There's several starred. Jamar Chase didn't play. So when the top guys don't play, other guys fill in, and they're not as good. So maybe that's part of it. Then there's just the numbers game to the NFL draft where GMs will tell you first-round draft picks are a 66.6% hit rate. 2/3 of the guys hit, 1/3 of the guys don't hit. So at some point you go eh. But there is something to be said for the fact that the Jets have tried to find the guy at quarterback. And they have gone through it's not for lack of draft. It's not like the Packers obviously have found at least Christian Watson, at least one stud wide receiver. But the Packers, they don't want to draft a wide receiver in the first round. There's been too many busts, whatever. But it's not one of those things where they haven't, people are critical of some teams for not putting resources into wide receiver, line, or whatever. It's not for lack of trying. Right? Geno Smith was a second-round pick. Mark Sanchez was a first-round pick. This guy was the number 2 pick in the draft. And yet here they are again. They're going to need a quarterback. Maybe they should have gone to Toyota of Orange. I know we're giving away free sponsor ads, whatever. But everybody in Southern California is going I remember that jingle. Yeah, kind of annoying, kind of cool. And at some point in your life, you're I learned what a lemon was. This is a lemon. He's not a horrible human being. I'm sure there's a great portion of it where his confidence is so shook right now, it doesn't even matter. He's not even performing. Regardless of the fact that he's probably not good enough, he's not performing at a level where you can even take it seriously that, maybe if he regains his confidence. You just don't have time. The Jets are still in some sort of playoff mix. And by the way, maybe we should be talking about the Jaguars and what they've done and how that light switch has gone on there. Nah. Anyway, we're all, there's no malice in any of this. Like, I'm not doing the Stephen A. or like, he's terrible, he's horrible. Like, at some point, you just go, like the question asked, you have like 5 other quarterbacks over the last 2 years that are better than Zach Wilson. And the fans aren't helping, which is the craziest part because for some reason it becomes like fun to just give this guy the business. It's like, he plays on your team. The guy's not doing well. You could actually help him. But whatever, we're past that point. I actually feel bad. The guy bought his whole offensive line room scooters yesterday, right? Now he's probably not the starter. He's like, hey, guys, I need to kind of start managing my money because I don't know what's next for me. So do you guys want to give back the scooters? Because, they're all like forced into one-upping each other in terms of what gifts they give to offensive linemen.
That'll work well in the winter.
Yes.
Listen,
Yes.
They did everything they possibly could last night to make it work for them. They threw on first down, I swear, on their first 5 possessions. The only points that he brought their drive provided negative yardage. That graphic on Amazon, and thank goodness my Wi-Fi crapped out in the fourth quarter. That's a true story. But the only drive that Zach Wilson produced points, they got negative yards on. It was because of the first possession of the game when they forced the Trevor Lawrence fumble on defense. It just could not have gone any worse.
Yeah. It just, look, sometimes guys just aren't good enough and you move on. It's like, that's basically where we are. And we could do, we could do all different sorts of post-mortem autopsy over what you could have done differently. But does that matter? Zach Wilson is not good enough that you can't keep throwing him out there. Perfectly asked question. Some guy we'd never heard of named Streveler shows up and is better. Like, Dan Byer is openly opining for Joe Flacco. Like, when in the last 5 years, you go, what I'd really like to see right now is Joe Flacco. Never. Right? Never. But that's the case with the New York Jets.